Hello and welcome to another speed paint by Haste Hobbies. Today we will be speed painting the thugs from Batman Gotham City Chronicles. Before painting these minis, I filed off the mold lines, washed them with soap, and primed them. I zenithally primed 2 of the minis with cold colors and 2 others with warm colors. I dry brushed all of them with an opaque white. For more details on how these minis were prepared and primed, see the video I've linked above. I wanted these 4 identical sculpts to look distinct on the table, but I also wanted to paint them quickly. So I decided to use a small number of colors and alternate where on each mini I applied them. So for Militarum Green here, I'm applying it to the jacket on one mini, the pants on another, the hat on a third, etc. And I continue using this method throughout with some minor hiccups. The next color I'm using is Space Wolves Gray. I really like this color for denims. I think it works very well for that. Make sure your previous contrast color is dry when painting the areas where the 2 colors meet. Contrast paint takes a bit longer than normal acrylic paint to dry. If it isn't dry, chances are the previous color will seep across the boundary and mix with your current color. I realize now, by choosing to paint that previous model's pants brown instead of his shoes, I've made it so I cannot paint gray. I can't paint the brown on this guy without having redundant articles of clothing share the same color. So, minor mistake. Here I make a mistake and get paint all over this guy's face. But with contrast paint, you do have a little bit of time. I went back, cleaned my brush, and quickly wiped it off. Kept going back into the paint water, cleaning my brush, wiping it off, and if you're quick enough, you can remove all of the color. If the paint's already dried, you can simply go in with a white or an off-white and clean up that mistake. Before I paint the skin, I'm using a bit of Bright Ivory to correct any mistakes and overspill I made on the skin areas like the hands and the faces. Out of all the contrast paints, none of them seem to me to make a good black skin tone. So I'm mixing Fireslayer Flesh and Wildwood together in a 1-to-1 ratio for the skin tone on these models. For the bases on these models, I'm using Privateer Press's Thamar Black. It takes me about 2 coats to get an opacity that I'm happy with. For the last but significant detail on the model, I'm using Acryl's Bold Pyrolle Red. This is a very opaque paint. The undercoat rarely shows through after the first layer. And I wanted to use this because The crowbar already had some contrast paint on it, and I really wanted the color to be a very bold bright red, and I want to do it quickly, so one coat. So I'm using this very opaque paint. Also, for detail work, contrast paint can be inconvenient because it's not as controllable. It kind of wants to spill over onto other things. The last little detail is to put a bit of silver on the end of the crowbar, but I did that off camera. The paint time for these 4 models was about 45 to 60 minutes, which breaks down to about 15 minutes each, which I was quite happy with for grunt models for a board game. I got the speed painting idea of using one color on different parts of each model from Ash over at Guerrilla Miniature Gaming. It turned out to be an excellent tip and worked really well on these guys. Thanks for watching, and tune in next time for more Gotham City Chronicles.